Good morning, everybody, and welcome to
Yes, your network is bad, so I'll take it up till you have your network sorted. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of the Mr. B's Educational Foundation Mentorship Programs Monthly Series, and with the theme Unlocking Possibilities Through Guidance, Lightening the Path, and Shaping the Future. Today we have a very important session in the life of professionals, which is talking about networking relationships. And the topic for today is building bridges and not walls, the power of strategic networking. We have today a seasoned communication specialist who will take us through today's session. And because this is just the event schedule, and because this is a virtual session, we need to make sure everyone is safe in their own space. So we just want to share these little safety tips. Ensure you are aware of your environment. Make sure it is distraction free, especially if you have to speak. Keep your volume at safe level. If you have to use the hands free, please don't make it too loud because of your eardrums. And when you're not speaking, please mute and do not share your video until requested. And please do not drive while watching this. And so, just to talk about who we are Mr. B's Educational Foundation, established basically majorly out of the 317 United Nations SDGs, which is no poverty, good and quality education, and partnership for goals. Our mission is actually to empower the next generation by propagating education, either formal or informal, and listed here are our mission. Our story so far, we actually started officially in 2018. Then we proceeded to 2019, where we had the reward for academic excellence, empowerment for school students, principals, and it was during the COVID year. So we did things with students, ensuring they go back to school and they can learn despite what was going on in the country. 22, we moved on 2021, 23, 25, and here we are in 2026, where this is currently the third phase of the mentorship program. We've been able to partner with lots of organizations, and we are still standing strong and still open to partnership. So, like I said, we are talking about networking, building bridges, not walls, the power of strategic networking. And to introduce our speaker, we have Rafiat Atanda, a communication specialist. She's a builder who humanizes communication, a dynamic communication specialist with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. She's a special impact maker and Ijabi pace setter. She empowers young women navigating multiple identities to lead with confidence and purpose. With over 5 years' experience across corporate and development communications, storytelling, campaigns, stakeholder engagement, and media strategy, Rafiat has driven initiatives that boost brand visibility and social change. She has volunteered with the European Union, US Consulate in Lagos, One Campaign, and others, championing causes to accelerate progress on sustainable development goals. As the pioneer spokesperson and head of communications for the EU Youth Sounding Board in Nigeria, she helped establish its digital footprint as a continental benchmark. Beyond a 9 to 5, Rafiat is a quintessential Ijabi event host, showcasing Ijabi excellence one event at a time. Thank you very much for joining us. Please, you have the floor now. Thank you. Please, let's continue to celebrate our speaker till she takes the floor.
Hi everyone, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma, we can hear you.
Yes, ma,
Fantastic.
we
My
can.
apologies.
Good
I
morning, ma.
can't turn on my video. Good morning. I can't turn on my video now. I was just telling Miss Surah that I'm not feeling too well, but like students of the theater departments of my school those days would say that the show has to go on. So please bear with me as much as possible. I'll try to make this session impactful and valuable. I promise to watch your time. But the energy may not be as high as I would have loved it to because of my health. So my apologies in advance. So let me start by saying thank you to the Misty Foundation for inviting me. I really enjoy talking to young people, especially young women. And the reasons are not far-fetched. You know, young people in general are at a disadvantage. If you look at the structures, and I'm going to focus on Nigeria, not globally, but if you look at Nigeria, the largest population is made up of young people. But despite that, when you look at unemployment in the country, when you look at, juvenile delinquency, a lot of things that should typically favor young people, they have been structured in a way that causes them a disadvantage. So it is important that we have conversations that can uplift young people, conversations that let them know that despite the limitations, we can make things work. And making things work, of course, cannot be something that happens overnight. Yeah. It's going to take like processes, it will take time, it will require a lot of patience and dedication. But importantly, we cannot say that because of the way the country is, we will choose to be limited because ultimately you're not just competing against yourselves or competing with fellow Nigerians. You're also competing with young people from across the world. Except, of course, you don't see yourself as an international citizen. So, if you do not see yourself as that yet, I'm encouraging you now to begin to see yourself in that light. And if you see yourself in that light, it means that you have to go the extra miles to ensuring that things really work out for you. So maybe this is some aspire to perspire to start the conversation, but I have been asked to speak on or to facilitate a session on the power of strategic networking. Let me start with a question. How many of you have ever thought that networking is, basically about collecting business cards or having people on LinkedIn? You've attended an event and you saw this little, good morning, sir. My name is Rafiat. Can I take a picture with you? And then you take the picture, you go on LinkedIn, especially. I'm very excited or pleased. You know how we do LinkedIn speak. So, how many of you think that that is what networking is about? Okay, Abigail says, I had the mindset about networking. Yeah, at some point. We all did, possibly. So I need more people to speak. I know that we have limited numbers on here, but I think that should work as an advantage to us. So it should make the conversation more close knit. Let it be like we're having a heart to heart conversation. So do not see this as, oh, she's up there. No, we're the same. So let's say we're gisting, even though we know we're not gisting. So please feel free to engage with me. I'm going to be reading your comments in the chat. I've only seen from Abigail. Who else? If you like, because again, we're just limited numbers here, you can also unmute your mic and talk to me about it. Again, the question is, how many of you have ever thought that networking is about collecting business cards or having people on LinkedIn? Okay, so Kelly says, Kelly says, for me, networking is way beyond just meeting and taking pictures and posting. It's a relationship that needs to be built up on. I totally agree with you, Kelly. Fantastic one there. Khadija says, I am one of those. I can imagine. I think at some point, if we are being honest with ourselves, we were once there. Yeah, we were once there. So, yeah, really, thank you so much. I'm not sure if we have. Okay, there is Zain Yakub. So I imagine that we have a mix of ladies and gentlemen on this call. Okay, Rukoya says, for me, I just collect numbers. I can imagine. Again, like I said earlier on, we've all been there. And I want to say that even though certain networking opportunities can progress, to something really big at the end of the day, sometimes they actually start with you exchanging contacts with that person. Yeah, it could also start with you taking a picture with them and posting it on LinkedIn. So I am not demonizing the act of, collecting people's numbers when you attend events with them or taking a picture with them and posting on your social media platform. The truth is, for you to even have certain level of respect, sort of, or even regard from some people, they're checking, they're looking at your association, they go to your social media platform. They want to see the quality of your work. They want to see the quality of the people that you've had interactions with. So in that case, if you attend events, for example, you attended an event and Mr. Tony Elumelu was there, you decided to take a picture with him, you go online and you're not just posting, oh, I met Mr. Tony Elumelu. Maybe, in one of the sessions, it said something that really, hits a spot for you. You then go on to share your experience, the learnings you got from a session and blah, you put together something really beautiful about the session, and it's on social media platform, people are interacting with it. Sometimes because you have made that post, and beyond you making that post, you also have like a record of consistently talking about a certain thing. When opportunities come, you become Toma. So Toma in advertising is top of mind awareness. You become a Toma, and then people say, oh, this person who is always talking about communication, or this person who is always talking about the sustainable development goals. And recently, I know she attended an event where Mr. Tony Elumelu was there, and she said really fantastic things about it. So yeah, maybe we can invite, or maybe we can invite him. So yeah, the point I'm making primarily with this is networking, is not always take people's picture, post, but it could also start with that. So if you currently do it, I'm not saying stop. If you've not started it, I'm not really saying, okay, start doing it. But ultimately, I would say that the ball is in your court. So you can choose to say, this is how I want to approach my strategic networking or otherwise. But importantly, you need to know that networking is not just about knowing everyone. It's about being known for something. That is very vital. And I know that someone already said earlier, okay, I have another comment. Read one says networking goes beyond attending events and it's about creating meaningful connections and nurturing them over time. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Kelly also said earlier on that networking is about relationship building. That's also very vital. Yeah. So you attend events, you meet people, you say to them, oh, this is what I do. Of course, you may not necessarily have all the time in the world to really talk about the things that you do. And that is why, as a person, as a change maker, it is very pivotal for you to have an elevator speech ready. So what that means is, task yourself to say, if tomorrow I meet Mr. Dangote, what do I tell him in a sentence or two to get his attention? Yeah. If I meet President Tinubu tomorrow, what do I say to him to get his attention in about a minute or two? These are things that you need to practice over and over. You need to make up scenarios. I teach public speaking, and I say to people, you don't wait for the moment to come before you start practicing public speaking. You mostly create the moment so that when the moment eventually comes, you're more than prepared to seize the moment, if that makes sense to you. So what I do as an individual, for example, I just say to myself, so there's currently FIFA World Cup. Yeah. What are your thoughts on how the players are doing? Nobody asked me, right? But I would just ask myself this question, and then I would stand in front of the mirror. I try to provide responses to these things. And when I make mistakes, I just laugh. I laugh at myself. I try to correct things. But ultimately, what I'm doing is preparing myself so that tomorrow, if somebody asks me, oh, what is your opinion on, for example, Israel and Gaza? What is your opinion on Donald Trump? What is your opinion on Tinubu? I have something meaningful, something tangible to say, and my response is not filled with filler words. Okay, or I look very dumb, and people are saying, "Who is she?" So you don't want that to happen to you. And ultimately, when you think about strategic networking, you need to think about certain skills, skills that can help you grow, skills that would make your introduction to whosoever very easy. There's a way you carry yourself, there's a way you speak to people that when you present yourself to them, they have no choice than to listen to you. So these skills are not things they're not things you learn overnight. You have to do them consistently. You have to own them. You have to practice them. And one of them, of course, is public speaking. You can't, introduce yourself and you're speaking bad English. They will not even give you the presence. They will not give you the attention. So you need to think of these things very importantly. And you need to know that networking is about relationships and not transactions. A lot of times, many young people, they approach networking in the wrong way. Yeah. They think of, what do I get from this person? What can this person do for me? But they are not looking at it from the perspective of how can we create value for each other. Again, you cannot be looking at networking from the lens of what can this person do for me. Look at it from the perspective of how can we create value for each other. So if you're that type of person who likes to take, some persons are takers. They just want to take everything. It might be very difficult for you to be able to network with people strategically because everybody is stressed. Maybe not everybody, but people are going through stuff. Yeah, they have their KPIs. So KPIs are key performance indicators. They have things going on in their life that they have to also pay attention to. And you want to come in as an additional burden in that case. And all the things that you want to do for them is just okay, come. No, you have to also think of how can I create value for this person in return. And I know it. I mean, I get it. Sometimes we think, oh, this person already has it all. They have money, they have this. What can I offer them? You have to pay attention. You have to be willing and ready to serve. So by paying attention, for example, if the person you are looking to network with or the person you're hoping can become your mentor at the end of the day, if there's something that they like or there's a profession that they are into, they talk about some of these things on social media, you need to pay attention. Is this person attending an event? If they're attending an event, or a lot of these people, and I'm talking like the senior, the high up there ones, they probably do not have time for social media. But that is not to say that visibility does not matter to them. But they do not have the time. So you as a person, are you skilled in social media? Can you take great pictures? Can you take videos? Can you edit videos? Do you understand my point? So can you tell this person to say, oh, ma'am, I see that you have, I saw on LinkedIn that you've been invited for this event. Do you already have someone to maybe take your pictures or videos? I can do that for you. That is it. Do you understand? So if you meet somebody, you need to think of what can I do to help add value to this person. It's not in every case that you're asking them to give you. Oh yeah, bring it, bring it. It doesn't work that way. It's networking is about relationship. You have to nurture. Someone said nurture. You have to nurture the relationship and you have to be patient while doing that. It is not for you to be, hounding the person with messages every day. They will block you. It's not sending messages every day. How are you, ma? I just want to check. Like, who? No. There has to be a method to the madness. You could choose to say, okay, maybe I will check in on this person, every week. If you see that every week is becoming, you can reduce it a little bit. But every time you reach out, you should try to reach out with a goal in mind. Reach out with something, a bit specific. Do you understand? And, you not wanting to receive from this person is not just to say that, oh, excuse me, it's not just to say that you should give them what you currently don't have, right? It could also be a case of you, asking for specific things. For example, oh, you're trying to build your skill in A, B, and C, and you know that this person already does well in this regard. You can ask them, please, are there things or are there courses that you have done, that really positioned you for success? But, before you ask some of these things, you need to be very thorough yourself. Be sure that the things that you're asking are not things that you can very easily get on Google or even ChatGPT. Because you don't want to present yourself as somebody who is lazy. Because, on social media, I do content on volunteering, on public speaking, and what have you. And especially the content that I do on volunteering, I see some questions. And I'm wondering, how on earth are you expecting me to provide a response to this question? And it's particularly very interesting, because sometimes I had said those things in the video, or I had said them in a previous video. Or these are things that they could easily go on Google and get the information. So you need to be also careful not to position or present yourself as a very lazy person when you're asking this, this person that you've networked with. So think about the relationship and how you can nurture the relationship. But ultimately, know that you have to give value, you have to deliver value. And value comes from a place of knowing yourself, sometimes it could even be doing a skill audit, understanding the things that you're lacking and how you need to improve on yourself. Because you cannot tell me, for example, that you want to help me with my social media when you yourself, your social media is nothing to write home about. So it is very important that when you think of strategic networking, you are thinking of relationship and not just networking and not just transactions. I beg your pardon. So number 2 is networking begins before you need it. The people around you, how do you treat them? Are you a good person? And I mean this genuinely. How do you treat them? Are you an arrogant person? Are you very proud? And I'm not saying, pride can be positive and negative. So in this sense, I'm talking about the negative pride. Are you a proud person? Do people look at you and say, oh my God, she's such a terrible human being? Are you that person that they do not want to have anything to do with you? So you need to think about it. Think about your character. Because it's not just about your competence. If you're good, I mean, people will applaud you. But are you approachable? Are you likable? Because sometimes they think, oh, networking is when I'm in the after uni, and then I'm looking for a job. No, it starts from when you were in school. Because the truth is, even the person you think is the dullest in your class, life can be very tricky and interesting. Tomorrow, that person can rise to a position that you never expected them to rise to. So when you were together, when they were in quotes a nobody, how did you treat them? Were you nice and kind to them? So if you begin to think about some of these things, you see how, networking is not just about, oh, you're networking with in quotes, the successful ones. It's about you networking, nurturing the relationship, even with your age mates, when you were in school, your classmates, your lecturers. It's about understanding the place of delayed gratification. Some of you, if if there's no money involved or any material thing that that you will not want to do it. Some of Yes. Can anyone still hear me?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you. I had my router connected to power, and now they're taking the light. So I just wanted to be sure. Anyway, so I was saying that some of the opportunities that I've gotten, of course, there's the grace of God because I'm a spiritual person. But we all know this popular saying that heaven help those who help themselves. And the things that I have done, for the most part, I've just integrated them as part of my life. I wasn't doing them with any strategy in mind. But I love to volunteer a lot. And even when there was nothing forthcoming, I would still do it. I remember when I was working in Lagos in a bank, 9 to 5, and I would work Mondays through Fridays and weekends when I should be resting and just chilling. I would join NGOs, go for community outreaches and all of those things. And at work, almost everybody knew that that was my vibe. Nobody was paying me anything to do these things. I just genuinely felt like I needed to give back to the society. And I was doing those things. And one thing started leading to the other because when the moderator read my bio, she said, "Oh, that I volunteered for the European Union Youth Summit Board in Nigeria." Some of these opportunities you can't just get them by sitting at home or by not having a track record of volunteering experience. You need to have a record. So I got into that because of the track records that I've built, like over the years. And getting into that, one thing about me is, and this is not even just about me, it's about how you need to approach some of these opportunities if you're not already approaching them in that way. Because I know that some of us, when an opportunity is right in our face, but because we know that we're not getting money, so sorry, I had to sneeze. Sorry. So, but because we know that we're not getting money or any material things immediately, we're just very lackadaisical about it, very nonchalant. You should not be operating from that lens. I always say that if you know you cannot give your all to that opportunity, there's no point taking it. And I know that, yeah, the names associated with these opportunities can be very fancy. Oh, of course, oh, I volunteer for the EU, blah, blah, blah. But what did you do? What did you make out of it? When I volunteered for the EU, people thought, oh, they were paying us money. I say, no, they're not giving us anything. But you know how we Nigerians, we jokingly say, I'll carry your matter for head like gala. That was exactly what I did. I was the pioneer head of communications and PR for the EU. So we call it EUYSB for short. So you would think that they were paying me a salary. And you know, the thing with pioneering something, you literally have to build it from the scratch. There was no roadmap, nothing. But of course, I had worked in the bank. I knew the fundamentals. I knew what I needed to do to build the digital footprints for the board, that is the EUYSB. And I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it well. And when I even started, I didn't do it because I was expecting anything in return. It was a bet that I took on myself that I'm going to use this opportunity to demonstrate to myself that I could make something work. You know, when they say that you are your own competition, that was literally what I did. And to the glory of God, an opportunity came from the UN. People that I thought, oh, they didn't really like me because of how I carried the thing on my head. You know, sometimes when you're doing some things, some people will think that you're doing it because you have an ulterior motive, or maybe you're trying to outshine them. So those that did not really understand my goal for the board at that time, they felt like I was doing over sabi and I was doing it because I wanted something in return. But when an opportunity came, you know what? I came highly recommended. They insisted that, oh, no, no, no. Look at it from the perspective of, from the prism of, it's not just networking with, people who are already up there. You should also think of it from the perspective of you networking with people that you're on the same level. Because the truth is, you don't always follow these people around. You don't know the caliber of people that they interact with on a daily basis. Yeah, you don't know how much, because sometimes people want you to know what they want you to know. So you might be thinking this is also them, but there's so much more to them. And they can be the ones to help you with the next big break that you're aiming for. So when you think of networking, please also think of it from that perspective. It's not just you networking from top to bottom. It could also be from bottom to top. So yeah, your next opportunity may come from someone you've known for many years. But I think what is most important for you to know at this time is that while you're waiting for the networking session or the networking opportunity that will open the next big door for you, you're building yourself, you're building on your skills. Because the truth is, even if I've known you for years, and there's an opportunity, if I do not know that you're capable of doing that thing, I would not recommend you. Because when I do that, I am also putting my reputation at risk. I'm putting it on the line. So while you're waiting for that thing to happen to you, you need to build yourself. You need to build on your skills. You need to improve your character. Don't let people say, that person is good, but she has a terrible character. Nobody would want to work with somebody like that. So number three thing that I'd like to also point out to you is that you position yourself before you introduce yourself. Position yourself before you introduce yourself. Those that know me, they know that when it comes to communication, Rafiat will be there. And this is as a result of how I have positioned myself over the years. I it's very rare when we talk about career development and trajectory. It's very rare that you hear me talk and I will not mention communication, or even when we talk about development in general, you would always have a feel that, oh, this person is into communication. I can't help it. It's just who I am. So you have to learn to position yourself before you even use yourself. And that is why it is important for you to be visible. Visibility is a very important currency that you must have as a young person. I don't like to talk. Your work will not speak for you anywhere. It's a jungle out there. The competition is real. Do you know the number of people doing the exact thing you're doing? The only difference is they will not do it, or they are not likely to do it the way you will do it. And that is what makes you different. That is what makes you unique. So you have to be visible. Invisibility is not an option because we are currently in a social economy. And people need to be able to bank on your social currency. A way for me to know that you do great work is when I see it. I can't be asking you in your DM, for example, what have you done? What have you, no. Before I even ask you, let me see. And then if I need more information, I can come to say, okay, I have seen this online about you. Can you share more information with me? So you have to learn to position yourself. And positioning yourself is not just about what you know upstairs. It's also about how you look, how you carry yourself. And this does not mean you have to break the bank. Oh, if you can get thrifted clothes, I still wear thrifted clothes and I wear it with pride. Get them. It's about how carry yourself with so much confidence and pride. So how do you position yourself? When people see you online, what comes to mind? Do they say, oh, that girl or that man, he or she, is a thoroughbred professional? I'm sure you'll be very excited to work with them. So positioning yourself is very important. And earlier on I talked about you having an elevator speech. When you meet Dangote, what are you going to tell him? What is your idea? Are you working on any project? What's been your learning journey, your wins? Those things are things that you need to think about. Is there any problem that you're very passionate about solving? And what are you doing to solving those problems? And remember that these things that you are even thinking about, it cannot be a one-size-fits-all approach, because you can't, for instance, go to a business summit and you're not speaking the language that they want to hear. There is what we call register, and there is jargon for every profession. You need to think about it. So it's not to say that you have to drift away from what you're passionate about or what you're talking, but there's a way to talk to different people at different points in time. So you need to learn to position yourself, because a lot of times people don't even talk to you when you don't look the parts. So you have to look the parts. You need to also sound the part. If it means that you have to watch great speakers on TV, try to imitate the way they speak before you then find your own voice, by all means, please do that. I remember when I started deliberately to start speaking right. At first, I attended a tutorial because I lived in Lagos. I attended a tutorial Success Point in Ajigole, and there I met Mr. Gab. He's now a doctor, a lecturer in LASU. He would teach us, phonetics and just sounding right. People would laugh, he, but I was very intentional. I would practice, and I really liked Dr. Ga because in his class then you would practice. If you were not interested in sounding right, it would send you out of his class. So he had non-negotiables. So I would always practice and say, okay, this man has thought. And I also had a friend then, Grace, who would always practice together. At home, while I was doing laundry, I would, words would come to my mind. I would try to transcribe them. I would watch TV, watch really great newscasters and journalists, try to sound the way they sound. I would even watch movies. I remember watching Merlin at that time. And I loved Guinevere, she would say some lines. I would go stand in front of the mirror, just try to imitate and sound the way they sound. And little by little, it started becoming a part of me. But the point I'm even making with this, that I'm sharing with you, is the fact that today, when I open my mouth to speak, people turn and say, "Who's speaking?" Yeah. And this did not start today. It started many years ago. And when I say many years ago, I finished uni 2016. So you can already tell when I finished secondary school. But it's never too late. If you want to get anything done, you can start now. You can start now. And before you know it, you become better and the world will adjust. If you're currently watching the World Cup, you know that one of France' favorites is the goalkeeper for Cape Verde. The gentleman is 40 years. Imagine 40 years and you're a goalkeeper. This man grew a social media following from 50,000 to 10 million in one day. I mean, now we see the amazing person that he is, but he did not become this amazing in one day. I'm sure it took him years. It took him years to be able to, you know, uh, catch the ball, just perfect his skills. So please, if you think of networking strategically with people, you have to learn positioning. Position yourself online and offline. And I'm not saying you should lie or fake it. But of course, in the beginning, it would sound like you're faking it. So, but you have to be very consistent. Not that today you're sounding Rafiat and tomorrow you're sounding Radiat. And people are wondering, are we speaking to the same person or are we listening to the same person? I sound the same literally everywhere. Even some people now recognize my voice. Without seeing me, they say, oh, this person sounds like Rafiat. Maybe it's Rafiat. So please, that is very important. Also note that every room has eating opportunities. Every room had eating opportunities. So if you're meeting that person, meet them with intention, know that there's something they can do for you. But like I said at the beginning, don't just be a receiver. Also think of what you can do to them. Yeah, what you can give to them. Yes, they have money, they are rich, they are wealthy. It can be really, really difficult. I can tell you, when you're trying to engage somebody who is up there, it can be really tough. But like I said earlier on, do your research, be patient, and you would know how best you can support them. For example, there's somebody who I consider a mentor. She's more of an auntie. She was my former boss. And yeah, sometimes it can be really tough to even say, okay, what do I buy for this woman? But lately, she's been having some requests. Maybe she would want to attend an event, and then she would say, "Oh, Rafiat, do you know maybe a content creator that can just come support me on this?" Unfortunately, I don't live in Lagos anymore. I live in Abuja. So I'm not really, if I were around, of course, I would have jumped at it to say, no worries, Mama, I'll join you. But what I try to do is I try to look for people within my network that can support her. And I know that I mean, she's probably going to need a service pro bono. So I try to see, okay, who can support if they will be getting just a stipend for TFA and all of that. But what I know and what I try to say to those people, of which of course I don't say too much, is if you manage to strike a relationship with this person, she is an incredibly sweet human being, and there's so much that you can learn from them in the long run. So yeah, it is very, very important to think of your networking journey in that regard. When you meet somebody, think of what you want to say to them, how you want to present yourself. Don't be a pest. Not every time, how are you, ma? Or how are you, sir? I just want to check. Nah, nah, nah. Be very intentional. Go online, see what they are up to. If there is anything you think might be helpful as well in their field, I think you can also share with them, because fine, they probably appear to have it all, but they also do not have it all. So let's say, for example, that the person you're trying to network with is maybe an accountant, for instance, and you also know that there's an event for accountants that is happening very soon. They may have seen it or not, but you managed to come across it. I mean, it would be good to just send them a message to say, oh, hi, ma'am, I saw this on social media and I know that this is what you do. It might be interesting for you. So I thought to share. Beyond sharing with them, also go a bit further if there is anything else you can do to support them. So let's say you have a skill in PowerPoint presentation or something. You could say to them to say, oh, can I help you? Oh, I have skills in this. I could help you put your slides together if you're willing to attend and do this. Or I have skills in this area. I could come around to help you with pictures, blah, blah. Just be willing to give them something. Be willing to go the extra miles. And, when you say you do it, you do it. It's not like the person you want to interact with is already at the venue. You are now coming in at what time? And then you're now giving excuses. I'm sorry, ma, it was the traffic. Oh, you didn't know that there would be traffic before, Abi, so you should have left your house way earlier. But ultimately, you need to think about these things. And I know that I've also said that you can also network with your peers. It's very important, because you don't know who is who. You don't know what they might become tomorrow. But genuinely, just be good people, be a good person to them. And, ultimately, they can help in one way or the other. And then let me also give an example. In my work, I also try to support the office in partnership. There was this event that I attended, and I attended that event because I said to myself that I'd like to interact with more communities. I want to go out more and stuff like that. So I happened to hear about this event. So, okay, no worries, I'll go. And then I attended with somebody who was there, that I met a man who um, who organizes the Abuja Photo Festival, Abuja International Photo Festival. And when I listened to him, like, okay, this person is doing great work. No worries. We exchanged contact. And after which, at a later time, he told me, oh, we're planning, and this was last year, if I'm not mistaken. So we're planning another edition of the Abuja International Photo Festival. I asked him to share more information. He shared more information, and somehow I was able to convince colleagues that this was a good investment for the office. And I think that the relationship will be mutually beneficial. And yeah, we partnered with them, and it was a really good event. Yeah. So sometimes, the things, the opportunities that you're looking for, they will not come immediately. But if you're patient, if you show that you know what you're doing, if you have a track record, trust me, it will happen. So let's quickly look at 3 networking habits that you should try to work on. Be curious before being impressive. Try to know what the person is doing or what they have done. And sometimes your curiosity could also be you going online to find out, or you paying attention while they were speaking. So for example, you attended an event and the person spoke on a panel. They said something that really struck with you. You're not just meeting them like every random person. You can say, "Hi, Tunde. You know what you said in the session about really hits a chord or really struck it, really did something to me," right? So because and then you can start a conversation that way. For that person, it shows that you were genuinely curious. You listened to them while they were, making the presentation. So you need to think about it in that regard. So be curious. It is very important. So whatever the person has said, maybe one that just did it for you, you can highlight those things while you're interacting with them. And you should try to follow up within 24 to 48 hours so that they will not forget you. If possible at this time, pictures could help. You can take a picture, and then when you send them the message, say, "Oh, this is the person you interacted with." Say a few nice things, but of course, be honest. Yeah, because people know when you're fluffing around, they know. So don't give them bobo. Just be honest and just keep the interaction, keep it open, because you never can tell. So stay in touch even when you don't need anything. I spoke about this earlier on. Be just try to check in on them periodically. It's not to say don't become a pest. Not every day, how are you, you know, but try to just identify like times that you can just say, "Oh, I'm checking in, blah blah blah," just things like that, and it will really, really, really help. So it is important to know that one genuine conversation can change the trajectory of your career. So please don't just attend events for the sake of attending the event. As much as possible, try to connect, contribute, and follow up. Thank you so much. I will stop here. If there are questions, I will take them now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Please let us appreciate our speaker. She has said quite a lot, and my books are full already. So please let us appreciate our speaker. Thank you once again, Ma. So we'll be taking questions and answer questions now. So if you have questions, you can indicate with the raise hand emoji there, or you could type your question on the chat box. If you have any question, you could use the hand button, or you type your question on the chat box so we can continue. Okay, I can see one, and Ma'am Mistura, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Abigail, and thank you very much, Rafiat. This was quite insightful, and even for me, I learned a lot of things. And thank you for giving your best despite your health condition. Um, Wish you a quick recovery. So, for me, I think I have a question. It's basically around, you said so many things about keeping up with people, but what if you keep up and you try to check in and you don't get a response? Do you just abandon that relationship and believe this person doesn't want to go ahead with it, or you just continue keeping up? Because how do you differentiate between being a pest, maybe not pest, and being intentional? Like, when do you draw the line?
Thank you so much for the question. I think as humans, it is important for us to understand boundaries, and it is also important for us to just accept the fact that some things will not work. So if you've tried multiple times and it's still not working, don't force it. Just let it go. Because it's not just about the person you're also trying to engage, it's also about you not losing yourself in the process. So for me, when I reach out, and trust me, there are nuances to these things. Yeah, when you try to engage somebody and you've reached them multiple times and you're not getting any response from them, I would say put an ultimatum. So by that I mean, if I call you or if I send you messages by this week or next week and I still don't get a response, I'll let it go. I think it's that simple for me. But the reason I said there are nuances to this thing is you also have to check yourself. I've said a lot of things earlier on. I've talked about the place of value. I've talked about the place of skills. Because sometimes people do not respond because they do not see a value in the relationship. So have you positioned yourself to demonstrate value in that relationship? If people think there's value in something, trust me, they're going to respond. They will respond. So the lack of response could be a thing of maybe this person has not seen a value in this relationship. And that is not to say that you are not a good person or you don't have what is necessary. It's just like sometimes when you apply to certain opportunities, the fact that you did not get in does not mean that your application was terrible or it was bad. Sometimes it could be a thing of quota. It could be a thing of, internal structure and internal priorities. Do you get my point? So if at this time and I'm particularly saying this even with like scholarship opportunities, sometimes you apply, but maybe because you are from a zone or you're from a place where a lot of people already benefited and they're trying to shift focus away from that zone, they may not give it to you, and it does not mean that your application was bad. So if you link that to the networking as well, it could be two things, or maybe more than two things. But it could be that the person currently does not see value in the relationship, or the person's priorities at that time do not align with what you're proposing. So either ways, I would say if you've tried up to a certain time, remember what I said about putting an ultimatum to it. Don't push it any further. Let it go. It's fine. It's okay. But what I would just say is you go back to self-assess yourself, do a self-analysis. That is, if you're able to, because it's not everybody that can do that. Say to yourself, are there things that I need to do differently? Because it could also be the way that you have worded your message, right? If you write to, and I'm not saying me, but let's assume that you write to me. If you write to me, for instance, and I read it and I'm like, why did this person write this way? I just move on. So in that way, it's not about me not seeing value, but you have not positioned yourself in a way that helps me see the value. So it is important that while you're trying to network with this person, you've reached out to them, they've not replied to you, go back and do a self-evaluation to say, okay, it could be that, and give this person grace too. Like I said before, it could be a thing of value or priority misalignments. Maybe their priorities do not align with you at that time. It could also be you. So if it is the priorities not aligning at that time, there's nothing you can do about it. Move on. If it is you needing to get better at a certain thing, go back, go to the drawing board, learn that thing that you need to get better at, but still leave the person, let them go. Yeah, don't stress it. But know that the next person you meet or the next opportunity that you get to position yourself, you're able to do it much better. I hope this helps.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really love the answer. And I hope the mentees who have been asking me these questions learned a lot because I also did. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so there's a question from Kelly. How do you draft an elevator pitch that you can use? Well, for this one, I wouldn't say there's, a hard set rule on how to do it, but I would say that, of course, refer to Google or chat. Use AI. AI can really help you structure a nice elevator pitch. But I know that your elevator pitch, should be tailored to the person you're speaking to. Remember, I talked about you can't have a one size fits all approach when you interact with people, because what interests A would not interest B. Yeah. Excuse me. And whatever elevator pitch that you're trying to say, ultimately it should tie into the interest of the person that you're talking to. Because you can't be speaking climate change when the person is interested in education, except you find a very creative way to link climate change and education together. Do you get what I mean? But ultimately, your elevator pitch should be something that just generally tells the person who you are, what you do, and why they should care. Who you are, what you do, why they should care. It is very, very important. Why do you want that person to maybe invest in not in your business or invest in the relationship? That is very key. But ultimately, what I would also say is before you attend events, it will be very good to just try to identify the persons that you would like to network with. It's not about moving to everybody and saying hi, hi. No, you have to be very strategic. So if you already know the speakers or the individuals attending that event, be very intentional about who exactly do I want to network with. So what that means for you is you have gone online, you've done a bit of research about that person, you know what interests them, you know what their passion is at that time, and you're able to prepare yourself for a strategic engagement with them, so that when you see them, you just say to them, oh, I saw your interview with uh, Arise News yesterday. When you talk, the person will be like, oh, really? So imagine you're meeting somebody who is into entrepreneurship, and before they even attended the event, they had an interview with Arise News talking about the rise of the informal sector and why investors should consider investing or designing products for the informal sector. And you are also very keen on the informal sector, you're keen on entrepreneurship. In fact, you have an idea on how investors can harness that untapped opportunity or that untapped potential. So imagine you're meeting that person. Hi, Mister. I saw your interview yesterday on Arise TV talking about the importance of the informal sector. And as an entrepreneur myself, I have, developed solutions, or I have blah, 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 blah. I'll be very happy to have this conversation with you at a later time if that's okay by you. Trust me, for the most part, you're going to get, okay, send me an email or send me this. And that is how it starts. So when you attend events, or before you go, think of who do I want to engage with? What do I want to say to them? So you've already rehearsed your speech, as the case may be, and eventually when you see them, you're hitting the nail on the head, and it just sets you apart from the every other person who just says, oh, I enjoy your speech. Oh, I enjoy what did you enjoy in it? You have to be very specific, yeah? So don't try to sound like every other person. Try to position yourself and say something that makes them feel this person was genuinely curious and they listened while I was making a presentation. Makes sense? Kelly, makes sense?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Great.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. I don't know if there are more questions on the chat box, or does anybody
Yeah, I
have
have a
more
question.
questions? Okay, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you so much, Mal, for this wonderful speech. It has been very impactful. So what I wanted to ask is that for in the process of trying to create value for each other, and you've researched, you've made your findings, and you see that okay, I still don't know what to do. Is it possible for you to like, is it bad for you to ask the person like, how can I create value for you? Like, how can we both benefit? Is it all right to do that? Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike. I
it
don't know if you
is,
got
but
the
it
question.
also depends on the person. Yes, I got your question. It is, but it depends on the person, trust me. And remember that I said, when you think of volunteering, don't just think of volunteering with people who are already up there. Also think of volunteering with your peers, your mates, grow together, build together. It would really, really help. We've heard stories of friends who started businesses together while they were in uni, and today they are doing incredibly well as entrepreneurs, or as the case may be. So if you're engaging like a senior person, I wouldn't say you should ask, but you can also ask, but ultimately what matters is how you present it. Do you understand? So, for example, ma'am, I've been thinking of a better way to serve you, if that's okay about you. And I really would want to know how you would want me to go about it. Or if there are things, or maybe not even say serve, because sometimes it may sound somehow to certain people, right? So, ma'am, I'm trying to get to, work with you better. Are there things, or are there things that you're currently doing that requires blah 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 blah, because I have skills in those areas. You understand? So you see what I've just done now is I've tried to position you or myself as somebody who has skills in this and this areas, because you want to know how best you can really help in quotes. So you're saying, ma'am, I have skills in this. I wanted to know if you require any service in this area. I'm happy to do it pro bono, just for somebody who is senior. Yeah. But if you're speaking to somebody who's like your peer or your mates, I mean, it's okay. There's no forming. Both of you, you're literally on the same level. So it's okay to say, oh, how do you think we can better support each other? It's just like your lover. If you're in a relationship, it's always okay to ask, how would you want me to love you? Do you understand? Even though there are times that they would expect that you should. Hey, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry. I was using a stress ball. Oh my God. Anyway, let me finish this so I can clear this mess. I was using a stress ball and somehow I busted. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, you can also do that with your pair or your mates. Just tell them what I've just said now, or you can say it in a much better way. Thank you.
Thanks so much. That was very
Thank you so much, Ma. Please, are there any questions? Okay, I think there are no more questions. So thank you very much, Ma. Please let us appreciate our speaker on the chat box. Let's send our clapping emoji in to appreciate her. Thank you so much, Ma. We really appreciate you for this wonderful session. So I'll be calling on Ma Mistura next to take us on
Sorry,
our
before you call,
upcoming
sorry.
events. Thank
Hi,
you.
sorry, before you call, hi, before you call, Miss Tura, I'd like to apologize for my energy. Those who have been part of my sessions, they know that my energy is always on 100. But I'm not feeling too well. But like I said earlier on, I still wanted this to continue, and I hope that you all got value no matter what. And I also want to apologize for my for my outbursts. So usually when there is an excitement or a surprise or anything at all, my instinct is to say subhanallah because I'm Muslim. So subhanallah basically means, glory to Allah, just as some Christians will scream Jesus, right? So like I said, I had a stress ball. I was just, if you're familiar with a stress ball, I was just fiddling and just playing with it. And I think it's already weak. I didn't know, and the thing just it just busted. So I'm really sorry for that. And I just thought it was important to mention it. So really, thank you so much for having me. And I hope to connect with you all at a later time. You can follow me on social media and on Instagram at Rafiat_Atunda, on X at Rafiat Atunda, on LinkedIn at Atunda Rafiat, and then Facebook is at Atunda Rafiat Mojisola. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much, Rafiat, for your time. It was really, really, really worth it. And that moment when you invite a speaker and they outrightly give you or say that thing you want to hear, because I have been when we were looking for the best person for this, we reached out to a lot of people. Then I remembered that we once had one or two interactions through a mutual friend. And I was just like, okay, please let me get your number and reach out to you. And this is another thing. Even this is more like an example of what you were talking about, the power of networking. Even despite the fact that we really did not have so much of a relationship to say, you were still willing to share because one, it's something you do at will, and it's just a way to reach out to a network you've always created. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I think I would advise everyone to go back when we put this on YouTube to listen over again because there's a lot to learn. And I think whenever I have a conference to attend, I'm going to go over this again and again. So it was really, really insightful. And I hope everyone picked one or two things from it. So thank you, Rafiat. So the task for the mentees is, yes, she has talked about networking. So we wanted to start your networking opportunity. Yes, we've done something like this when we did the LinkedIn optimization, but now we want you to improve on your networking skills. So you might look at maybe new people or even those who you've networked before, who have connected with you, and you feel you want to sustain the relationship. So we want you to implement everything that has been here. If you have any physical events to attend, please implement them, and you can share on the WhatsApp group how you've been able to interact, what the communication was like. And the thing is, we don't want you to get discouraged. Obviously, you get some no's, you get some yes, but it's part of life. And the book read would be happening also this month. So please, when the portion to read is shared, let's make sure to read, and we are going to have the scheduled date communicated for the session. So as the foundation, we have upcoming programs. We have two entrepreneurship programs like skill empowerment for women and youth in the community. The first one is in collaboration with Ali Class Designs. They are into bag production. They do lots of bespoke bags, and we've been able to collaborate with them to train 5 females. But it's a 1-year training, and you have whoever is going to be attending has to be committed. There's free accommodation. You just have to do 1 or 2 little things and also show your commitment. And the training is one to empower you to stand on your own afterwards. So if you know anyone who fits into the description and flyer, you can please invite them to register. The registration ends on the 25th of July. We also have catfish training. This is the second we are having. We had the first one last year, and the second one is coming up in August this year for 2 days. 14th to 15th of August in Amuodofi area in Lagos State. The bag production is in Badagry, and this is in Amuodofi, Lagos State. And the deadline is 26th of July. So if you have anyone interested, this is also a free training, but we just require a commitment fee of 2,000 naira, which will be refunded upon physical attendance, because we've had low turnout, people high registration and low physical turnout in the past. So we try as much as possible to reduce that. And it's an empowerment that gives you the skill to just to empower you and to make money, and it's even export standard. We had one of our last attendees. She started the business with, funny enough, another type of fish, and she's currently making money. She was even able to get a grant from someone to support the business. So, and these are the kind of things we actually appreciate and we want out there. So in September, we are going to be having our Light Up a Child Education 2.0 event. We rebranded it to Light Up Education. It used to be a word for academic excellence, and this is the 6th time it's going to be going live in Ibadan. We interact with government-owned secondary schools. This year, we are going to be engaging 5 schools, reward them for their academic excellence. And the theme about the Light Up Education is basically around, yes, giving them that source of light even when there is no power supply, which is a solar lamp and every other academic materials they need to support them, and as well reward their teachers and give them some facilities to aid teaching the students the best of their abilities. So that's it on what we have. Besides that, we have collaboration with other organizations. The Audacity Conference is coming up, and we are one of their collaborators as well. Like the Mentorship Conference 2.0 is already in the planning stage, and we are going to start the adverts very soon. So watch out and be a part of this. So you can connect with us on different social media platforms. Also do well to connect with our speaker. She has shared a lot. If you go on our Instagram, she shares these nuggets once in a while, and I always enjoy watching them, as well as on LinkedIn, sharing her experience. So you can also see that she's not just talking about networking, she's not just talking about putting yourself out there. She actually embodies this and she does it selflessly. So please connect with her, and as well connect with the foundation. Have a real watch of our sessions on YouTube. Connect on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can reach out to us via this email, and that's our website. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.